I used to fall asleep to white noise every night. The gentle hiss of my old radio, that familiar static, helped drown out the silence of my small apartment. It was a comforting blanket of sound. Last week, the static started talking back. Silence is definitely safer than sound. My name's Dylan. I live alone in a small, single-bedroom apartment just outside the city. It's nothing special, but it's mine. And like a lot of people who live alone, the silence can get a little heavy sometimes. So I have this old, beat-up bedside radio. Every night, without fail, I'd tune it to a dead channel, just pure, crackling white noise. It was my lullaby. But one night, the routine shattered. I woke up suddenly. My clock glowed a menacing 3:07 a.m. The room was cold, colder than usual, and something was different about the static. It wasn't just static anymore. It pulsed. I lay there, listening, my heart starting to thud against my ribs. The static seemed to be coalescing, forming sounds, and then I heard it. Faint, broken, like a whisper carried on the wind from miles away. It was my name. DY... Lan. I sat bolt upright in bed, my eyes wide in the darkness. I must be dreaming, one of those vivid, half-awake nightmares. I shook my head, trying to clear it, but the voice came again, a little clearer this time, weaving itself through the static. Don't turn around. A cold dread washed over me, colder than the chill in the room. My window was slightly open, just a crack. I always left it open for some fresh air, but the curtains were moving, swaying gently, even though the air was completely still. There was no wind. My hand, shaking uncontrollably, reached out and yanked the radio's plug from the wall socket. The static died instantly. The room fell quiet, but that voice still echoed, a low, dry whisper that felt like it was breathing against the skin on the back of my neck. You shouldn't have unplugged me. I spun around so fast I nearly fell out of bed. There was nothing there, just the familiar darkness of my bedroom, the faint outline of my dresser, the closed closet door, just empty space. My panic went into overdrive. I scrambled for the light switch, flooding the room with harsh, yellow light. I checked everywhere. Nothing there, just emptiness. Everywhere. I ran into the living room, flicking on every single light switch as I went. I checked the kitchen, the bathroom, even the tiny coat closet by the front door. Nothing. The apartment felt completely empty and silent. I couldn't sleep, so I just curled up on the couch, watching the sunrise. The next morning, the harsh light of day made everything seem ridiculous. I must have been exhausted. Stress from work, maybe. A sleep-deprived hallucination. That had to be it. I tried to shake it off, went through my morning routine, headed to work and did my best to forget the whole thing. But when I got home that night, a new wave of ice-cold fear hit me. The radio was plugged in, playing by itself. The static was louder this time, more aggressive. It wasn't the gentle hiss from before. It felt angry, clawing at the silence in the room. And underneath it, I could hear something else. A woman, crying, soft, desperate sobs, almost completely buried by the noise. Then, a man's voice cut through, clear and deep, speaking directly from the radio speaker. He's watching you through the glass. My head snapped toward the only large piece of glass in the room, the full-length mirror hanging on my closet door. I stared at my own reflection. I was pale, terrified, my mouth hanging slightly open. But the person in the mirror, the reflection of me, was smiling. A wide, unnatural grin that didn't reach its eyes. But I wasn't smiling. If this story is sending chills down your spine, do me a favor, like this video, and subscribe to Bloody Chapter. This will haunt your dreams. I couldn't breathe. My own face was looking back at me, but it wasn't me. It was a predator. Without thinking, I grabbed the heaviest thing I could find, a book from my nightstand, hurled it at the mirror. It shattered. Glass shattered everywhere. But the horror grew. Each shard, no matter how small, showed a different reflection of me. One shot on the floor showed my face, still grinning that horrible grin. Another, near the wall, showed my hand, except the fingers were too long, too thin, and in one of the larger pieces still hanging from the frame. I saw it. I saw someone standing right behind my reflection, a tall, shadowy figure with no discernible features. Yehus bolted, leaving everything behind. I just bolted out the front door and down the stairs, my bare feet slapping against the cold concrete. The sound of the radio followed me, growing louder, screaming with static. It wasn't just one dead channel anymore. It was like 1,000 voices, all shouting at once. A tidal wave of electronic chaos pouring out of my apartment. I didn't stop running until I was blocks away, gasping for air on a street corner under the orange glow of a streetlight. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a new voicemail from a blocked number. My hands were still trembling as I lifted the phone to my ear and played the message. "D, please, don't unplug me," my voice said, icy and distant. I spent the night at a friend's place. I didn't tell him everything, just that I had some weird electrical issues and didn't feel safe at home. He let me crash on his couch, no questions asked. I lay there all night, staring at the ceiling, flinching at every little sound. Sleep was impossible. The next morning, armed with a few hours of daylight and my friend Mark by my side for moral support, I went back to my apartment. The door was still ajar, just as I'd left it. The first thing I noticed was the silence. The radio was quiet. We walked in slowly. The broken mirror was still scattered across the bedroom floor. The radio was where it always was, on my nightstand. Its plug was pulled from the wall. I must have done it when I ran. I thought maybe I tripped on something. Then, a knock at the door. It was my next-door neighbor, Mr. Henderson, a grumpy old man who complained about everything. He looked tired and irritated. "Hey, Dylan," he grumbled. "You have your fun last night. I'd appreciate it if you kept the noise down." I was trying to sleep. I was confused. "What are you talking about, Mr. Henderson? I wasn't even here last night. I stayed at a friend's place." He frowned, his brow furrowing. "Don't lie to me, kid. Your radio was blasting that static noise all night long. Non-stop. And I heard your phone ringing off the hook around 4 in the morning." He paused, looking at me strangely. "Who answered?" "I heard you talking. You just kept saying the same thing over and over. Don't unplug me." Creepy stuff, man. "You okay?" I couldn't answer. The world started to spin. I never went back to that apartment. The police were called eventually, after the landlord reported me missing. They went inside. They found my radio, smashed in the corner, probably from when I ran out. But one of the officers later told a reporter something strange. As a joke, he plugged it in, and even though it was broken, it turned on, and very faintly, through the static, it still whispered my name. Now, I can't stand silence, but I fear sound even more. Every time I hear a radio or a TV with bad reception, that crackle of static, I hear something else beneath it. I hear myself whispering right back. If you're still listening, subscribe to Bloody Chapter, because some stories, they don't end when the talking stops.